Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this July 20th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. And we're glad you're here with us this morning. For this special show, Eric Valentine is going to be with us here in a little bit, talking about his unfortunate trip down the side of a mountain when he was hiking about 3 months ago now. So, but we're glad you're here, and we're always on Roku. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Yep.
How are you doing this morning, man?
I'm excellent. Good morning, TJ. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's first Friday.
Yeah, it's a good day. So, well, hey, let's roll into sports, man.
Let's do it. So, sports-wise, this is brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress right here in the Grand. Big Red Rocking Chair on Elm, off Adams. Go see them. The Daggett family, I talk about that circle, they support my show. You guys support them, and then you guys watch my show. So that's just kind of how it works. But sports-wise, we're kind of in that slow period right now, outside of, as we all know, Shrine. We're banging away Shrine, and we got 9 days, and we're looking at our biggest broadcast of the year. I mean, it's a huge event, 15-man crew. EOU volleyball starts in like 2 weeks. Football's gearing up. We're getting ready for the fall sports, and it's kind of exciting. I mean, it's crazy. We're already looking at August. I mean, we're right there. And but as for the Shrine, the principal out at Island City Elementary, he played in the 2005 game for Baker City. Brett Smith, here's a little clip from that.
Had a good season. We had a really strong team. We were ranked, second, third in the state all year. At when the Oregon was in the 4A classification system, we were 3A, and I was fortunate to have a good group of guys around me. We had like 17 or 18 seniors that had played everything growing up, and then we started out. We were just hot. Rolled through the season, beat pretty much everybody but Vail. Vail always gave us a run for their money, or our money, and lost to them. But then we rolled into the playoffs and ran into the juggernaut Wilsonville in the quarterfinals. But we, I had a really good season playing linebacker and offensive line. All the guys around me, we just had a really good year, and we were just kind of outmanned when we got up against Wilsonville. We're all playing Iron Man, 12, 13 guys never coming off the field, and they're running full squads in and out, and, came up short. But I personally, I got a lot of accolades, had a good year. And so, I did well in the classroom, stuff like that. So as far as getting notified, my coach just pulled me aside in the springtime there in 2005 and just, congratulated me, told me that I'd been selected and that we had a couple other guys that, were named alternates as well. And it was just a cool honor to represent our team that had a lot of success and represent the guys.
Crazy how fast it's coming up. The players arrive at EOU on Sunday. And they're going to be here Sunday in 3 days.
Yeah, that makes my heart skip a little bit because we got a lot of stuff. Yeah.
There's a ton of stuff that happens the week of. We shoot all the player introductions. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
My play-by-play guy, William McLaughlin, he's an actual Shriner himself. Well, not a Shriner. He was served by Shrine Hospitals.
Yeah.
And here, if you have a last-second advertisement, you can do it. I mean, we can still get you in. So here's Will talking about that.
Hello there. My name is William McLaughlin, and I am the play-by-play announcer for this year's EO Live Sports broadcast of the Oregon East-West Shrine All-Star Football Game. This is my third consecutive year doing this, and it is truly an honor. This game means a lot to me, not just because it showcases great athletes from around the state of Oregon, but also because I was once a patient of Shriners Hospital for Children. Shriners' motto is love to the rescue, and they truly mean that. The work they do for children is truly amazing, and it makes a difference. Trust me, I know from personal experience. If your business is interested in being a game day sponsor for this year's game on July 29th, reach out to EOA TV today. We offer multiple sponsorships, including game title sponsor, game sponsor, quarter sponsor, replay sponsor, and more. Consider being a sponsor today. Not only does it go to a great cause, but it's also a great way to promote your business throughout the region and on the only broadcast of the East-West Shrine All-Star Football Game.
East-West Shrine game, July 29th, 6 p.m. is when they start the pregame, what do they call that? Where all the guys out there talking.
I know, yeah.
They have a name for it.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what that,
Yeah.
but they're
Anyways.
recognized. They're the people in the Shrine organization. Yeah.
Anyways, that's the AM Sports Report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Go see the Daggett family. All American, awesome furnishings. It's a great store, great showroom. Go check it out.
Yep. Good stuff. Thank you. Yeah. And while we're mentioning sponsors, let's be sure and mention Valley Insurance downtown in LeGrand. Can you find that? Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate them sponsoring this show and being a part of this special show with Eric. And they recently moved from Washington Street to downtown LeGrand in the old Umpqua Bank building, and they're in the process of remodeling that. Be sure and check them out for your insurance needs. Matt and Troy, thank you. Yeah, Joel, excuse me. Matt and Joel, appreciate them. Yeah, I see Joel and Rotary all the time. I had this right. Yeah. So anyhow, I'm going to El Salvador with Joel. Tanya and I are going with Joel, which is a Rotary trip in January. Looking forward to that. All right. Thanks so much. All right. So let's, I just grabbed the weather. It looks warm. Looks the same, right? Sheesh.
Not the same as yesterday. It wasn't 98 yesterday.
Wasn't?
No.
So today it's going to.
It was much cooler yesterday.
Was it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Saturday. Yeah, it's just ugly out there.
I like it.
I know you do.
As long as you got AC,
Yeah.
a reprieve,
Yeah.
you're good. I mean, it's nice out there.
It is. All righty. Well, we will be back here in just a minute with Eric Valentine and also the Scout troop. What Scout number is that?
77.
Scout 77 from the Boise area, and they will be here with us remotely talking about the day that Eric fell off the trail and was rescued by them. And it's a great story. Been talking to Eric about telling us this story for a while, and we'll be back right after this. excited. We're back with Eric Valentine, long time. You were a judge for how many years?
Yes, I was judge from 1983 to 2003
Okay.
for Union and Wallowa counties.
So is that 20 years?
Yep, 20 years.
Yeah. So, and then you have been an avid photographer for many years.
Many years.
Yeah. So, and we have calendars and stuff of yours there. So and you and I have engaged in a number of different places. Thankfully, none of them with me before you.
No, I will state that you were never in front of me in court. So.
Good. Well, so Eric, we have, I guess let's pull in the gang look here real quick, and so that everybody can see the Troop 77.
Troop 77 of Eagle, Idaho.
Okay. And so why don't you guys real quick just introduce yourselves, going right down the line. Henry, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Henry Kavanaugh. I'm the current SPL of Troop 77.
Okay.
Hi, I'm McCoy Bondelet, and I'm current ASPL in Troop 77.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Nathaniel Jacob.
Okay.
I'm Brendan Carabench. I am a patrol leader in the troop.
All right.
Hi, good morning. I'm Brian Kavanaugh. I'm one of the adult leaders in Troop 77.
All right.
Hi, I'm Nate Bondelet. I am also a lost leader.
All right. Great. So glad.
And let me just intervene.
Yeah.
These were my saviors. I wouldn't be here today without them. So we'll tell the whole story of they're my angels.
Well, let's start with, let's back up just a bit. You are an avid hiker.
Yes.
And most of the time you hike with a partner.
Yes, I hike with Bob Carter.
Yeah.
I'm 80 now. Bob's 82. And
yeah.
When we were in our 60s, we hiked over half of the Pacific Crest Trail. We did section hiking on that massive, wonderful trail that goes through California, Oregon, and Washington.
Yeah. And I remember an incident once when you were at Rotary. We see each other in Rotary every Tuesday, and your watch had not been syncing with your phone or something like that. And it, like, for a month, and all of a sudden it did. And it, like, you had like 200,000 steps that had accumulated over a fairly short period of time. Yeah. And so, and talk about your scouting past also. Yeah.
Sure. I've been involved in scouting, starting with Cub Scouts when my boys joined Cub Scouts in the late 70s. And then when they moved into Troop 514, I started serving as Scoutmaster about the same time as I was judge, from 1983 to 2003. So they're both Eagle Scouts, but I stayed with the troop even after they graduated out of it, so to speak.
Wow. And you've been a big supporter of that. I mean, last several years, you kind of helped put together the Scout Breakfast. And I mean, talk about your activities after that. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm still involved with the Scout Troop. I retired formally as Scoutmaster in 2003, and then did my long distance hiking and returned to the troop in 2011 and as an assistant Scoutmaster and what's called the Chartered Organization Representative. Continue my hiking and backpacking, and continuing to help the Blue Mountain Council in fundraising.
Cool. Okay, so now let's talk about this particular day. So, yeah, and you went by yourself this particular day.
Right. My wife wasn't too happy, but well, let me back.
Yeah, back up. Yeah.
I've been hiking this trail since about 2013, and it's a very easy trail, very beautiful trail in the springtime. The wildflowers are gorgeous, and the trail starts downriver from Oxbow and goes across McGraw Creek, and then you can take it up high into one of the benches of Hell's Canyon. And so I'm very familiar with it. I've done it alone. I've done it with Meg. I've done it with Bob. I've done it with the scout troop, etc., and very familiar with it. And so, despite Meg's reservations, I violated the basic scout rule of hiking with a buddy.
Yeah.
But I've never had any problem before, so why should I have a problem this time?
Right. Okay, and so then what happened? How did you get into trouble?
I said never had a problem this time until this time. So, it's a good lesson on, even though you're confident that you could do something alone, you still shouldn't do it. So I think I'm a prime example both of stupidity and of resiliency. But in any case, I was into the trail by about 2 miles and about ready to drop down into McGraw Creek. And at the ridgeline there, I decided to remove a couple noxious weeds. And when I removed the second one, I think my day pack shifted. And in just a millisecond, I was rolling. I've called it a fall, but it was really a roll. I was fortunate that, and the scouts can tell us too, I feel it was about a 70-degree slope, and I rolled down in 60 to 65 feet. There was nothing to stop my fall until I hit a rock. It's a series of miracles. I mean, the Lord was with me.
Yeah.
And finally got stopped and put myself together and
so let's look at that picture real quick, Ryan, of the fall area. Go ahead. Another right here. Okay, so then this trail is above the river, then,
correct,
right? Yeah, and this is the Snake River right here.
Yes.
Okay, and so then, and on the other side of the river, is there?
There's a road on the Idaho side that goes down to Hell's Canyon Dam.
Okay, all right. So, but there is, and how much traffic is on this trail?
Not very much traffic.
Okay. And you can see there's a little bit of drawings there. It's kind of hard to see, but that the red line is that tells you where you fell to, and then they eventually had to haul you back up. Is that right?
No, I hauled myself back up.
Okay. All right. So come back to us and tell us the rest of that. Yeah.
Well,
what happened?
I wasn't knocked out. I didn't faint. I didn't go into shock. I felt a sense of calm and peace even as I was rolling. It's again part of my faith, part of my walk with the Lord and with Christ. I knew God knew where I was, and it was going to be God's doing as to what happened to me. One of the miracles is I didn't get a concussion. I didn't break my skull. I didn't break ribs. I didn't puncture a lung. I had the broken neck and the broken foot, but so I had pain in both those areas. But after I got myself kind of resituated and figured out where I was, I knew I could not be seen from the river or the road. So I had to extricate myself from that position.
So you knew if you stayed along the bank there that you would not be able to be seen.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I started upwards. I'd taken my day pack off. I knew at a certain point in time it was too much effort to carry the day pack, that I needed both hands to pull myself up that steep slope, and took off the pack, took out I had a red jacket in the day pack, and put the red jacket on because I knew that would be visible to anybody on the river or on the road. And as I started up, a car had stopped, and I heard a call, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Help, help." I don't know how loud my voice was. I really feel the Lord must have magnified my voice so that they could hear I needed help. And the scouts can pick up what they were told by this car that had stopped me. But
So then did you make your way? You crawled back up to the top of the trail.
Right. I got a hand over hand and finding places to anchor my feet and pull myself up. There wasn't a lot of handholds, but somehow I prevailed. I really felt I had to get up to the trail because there wasn't any place safe to stop on that slope.
Mm.
And
you didn't know everything that was wrong, but you had a broken ankle?
Well, broken ankle and patella, and then my C1 and C2 in my neck were broken.
Okay.
But I knew if I stopped, I could not get myself stable. There'd be a danger of rolling again.
Mm.
And that's the last thing I wanted to happen was to roll back down.
Wow.
If I can interrupt for just a second, we have a question from a viewer. What's the name of the trail?
It's called it's several names. It starts at the end of a dirt road at Copper Creek Campground that the BLM runs. And then I call it the McGraw Creek Trail because you cross McGraw Creek and go about another mile to another creek called Spring Creek.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the car sees you as when you're on top or as you're crawling?
No, as I'm going up.
As you're crawling.
I'd say I was about, I don't know, a third to halfway up.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And so then you get up on top.
Lie down on the trail, feel safe. And, I'd prayed. I said, here's what I just love about Troop 77's rescue is I'd prayed that the Lord would send his angels to help me out. And lo and behold, he sent Troop 77. And of course, with my involvement with scouting, to be rescued by scouts was kind of, I think it's one of my ultimate scouting experiences.
Yeah. Well, let's bring in the scouting gang and kind of have them pick up the story. So what happened from that? How did you guys get contacted about what was going on?
So there was a lady who was on the road. We think it was the firefighter's wife. She ended up telling us, hey, there's a guy who fell. He's screaming for help. He's 4/10 of a mile ahead in the river. Can you go help him out?
And share why you guys were on the river. What was the troop doing that weekend?
That weekend, we had organized a canoe trip in Hell's Canyon, and we had put in 10 canoes on the water a few miles upstream from where Eric was. And as Brendan mentioned, one of the canoes heard the ladies ask for help, and Henry radioed all the other adults about what he heard. And he mentioned that we were going to go see what was going on.
And Brian, just in terms of scouting preparedness, maybe share with the group, did every canoe or every adult have a radio for contact?
Yes, each of the adults had a radio, and Henry, who was the SPL for that trip that weekend.
And
so
SPL means senior patrol leader, so he was kind of the scout in charge of the scouts.
Yes. And we also had another adult who was in his truck on the road as our other adult backup person in case we needed some help. So he was another person that had a radio. Yes.
So Henry, how far away were you from where I fell?
I believe we were about half a mile away. When that person was talking to us, we could barely hear what she was saying. We pretty much just got that somebody needs help, and they're about a mile down, is what she said. And then I radioed that back to the whole group. So then you guys got in contact. So were you in the water when you made contact with the lady who had seen him already, or Yes. You guys were just getting ready to launch? What was the deal there? We had just eaten lunch. We stopped and ate lunch for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
I believe at the trailhead. So we ate lunch, then we started paddling, and that's when the truck pulled aside and that lady hopped out and started talking to us.
Okay. So then she knew that you were going towards him. And so,
Yeah,
and go to the gang shot there, Ryan. Yeah. So she knew that you were going towards him. And so then she, directed you. So then tell us what happened then. Where did you find Eric, or how did it go from there?
We saw him like right when he climbed up to the top, and so we basically just said like, "Hey, like we're here."
And so,
so when that lady started talking to us, I started radioing back what she was saying, so that I didn't forget what I was hearing. And then we all fanned out across the river and started looking on both sides because it wasn't very clear which side she had mentioned. So then about half a mile down, we saw him in his red jacket, thankfully, up on the Oregon side of the river on the trail.
wow. All right. And so then you guys all got on shore, and let's go to a couple of those pictures, Ryan, and just kind of go through those. So, Nate, why don't you tell us what's happening here, will you? Kind of.
Sure. For starters, when they radioed,
But just go back to the pictures, Ryan. Yeah, go ahead.
when Henry radioed that there was somebody we were looking for, he was talking to all the adults, but at that time, it wasn't clear that there was an actual emergency. We do practice first aid scenarios, and so at first I thought it was we're going to practice something that the adults have something kind of lined up. Henry's not really saying what we're doing. He just said we're looking for somebody. So when Henry and McCoy got to the bottom of this hill and they said we found somebody, I was with kind of towards the end of the canoes at the very back because my canoe had a hole. And when we finally arrived there, I could see the scouts going up this ledge, and it was clear that this was not a practice scenario, that this was someone in need of assistance. And so I rushed up this hill, and I have a Garmin satellite two-way communication device. So they had said, we need additional medical assistance, more than we can provide. I've never used this device before, so I pushed the button, and I don't really know exactly what to expect. I see this gentleman. He's got he's bleeding pretty good on his forehead. We don't know exactly what's wrong with him. We've done some initial kind of triage. Mr. Kavanaugh is a excellent medical responder. So he had kind of triaged what was happening, what we needed. And as I'm communicating, I start communicating with some kind of national first responder response thing via text message. And I'm relaying information about Mr. Valentine. They want to know, his age, what condition he's in, if life flight should be, engaged. They end up connecting me to like the local, I think, 911 dispatch, which is where the sheriff got involved. And, that kind of materialized into how other first responders started showing up and what we needed to do to get him out of there. We realized we were not going to be able to walk him out or carry him out. It was clear there was something wrong with his neck, and we needed to be pretty careful with, how we treated him.
So then Eric, what happened from there? So tell me about the other first responders that showed up.
Sure. All I could recall is feeling very relieved at the, a very competent help I was getting. I mean, people wonder why we were why or if we need scouting. And Troop 77 is a prime example of why we do. I mean, they were so well prepared, and the way they dealt with my injury. They put a life jacket around my neck and one around my ankle. It got, they stabilized as best they could with what they had. I remember the firefighter who was across had been in the car. He came across and with his training also assisted. And the prime thing happened, the jet boat came in from, I assume from Oxbow. They brought up a excellent backboard and placed me on the backboard. And I can recall I was really impressed with how they got me back down into the river in terms of, they didn't go straight down where I'd fallen because that was really steep, but they took me back a ways on the trail and there was a little bit lesser angle. But maybe, again, the scouts and everybody could tell the audience what it was like to take a backboard down maybe 80 feet or so to the river.
Yeah. So tell us, once you had the backboard, then guys, how did you, because you got, eventually you got to the boat for them to take you
right
somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody share with us how did you guys get him back down to the river?
So that backboard was Idaho Power's backboard. They showed up in their jet boat. I believe they had an AED and a backboard. I think they had 3 personnel there. Yes, they showed up. I grabbed the stretcher. I brought it up, and we started loading him up onto that. To take him down, to find a suitable place to take him down, I think we went probably another 400 or 500 feet down the trail. And then we kind of winded our way back down to where jet boat was.
Wow.
And just so everybody's clear, like that, there was like 8 people. It was so heavy, and that area was so steep. I only tried once, so I was pretty grateful for that. The area was just so straight up and down. It was really, really difficult to get him down to where they could take him to where Life Flight was going to meet Mr. Valentine. So it was important to basically get him down to the river versus taking him, 1 mile one way up the trail or 1 mile the other way down the trail. The easiest way was to get him down to the river, which was straight up and down.
Wow. Okay. And so then once you got him onto the boat, then what happened? And at that point, they probably left the scouts then, right?
Right. Yeah. At that point, we separated, and I was taken to a location where there was an ambulance, and then the ambulance took me down to where the helicopter was, and I was helicoptered to St. Alfonso's trauma center in Boise, and the rest, so to speak, is treatment history.
Well, wow. And so show us those last couple of pictures, Ryan. So keep rolling through there. This is them bringing the backboard and getting you on. Keep going there.
Yes,
Then, is this the boat that they put you on?
Yes,
No,
I think
but
so. Yeah, there.
So then this is after they got you down. They went down a little ways and then down to the boat, and they got you on the boat. All right, keep going there. This is the whole group. And then this is later on.
Right. When I was after I was in the trauma center for about 5 days and then taken over to rehab. And so about, this was on, my accident was Friday, May 6th. And about a week and a half later, when I was in rehab, Troop 77 came over to visit me. The scout executive, Lynn Gunter, arranged for the scouts and parents to come visit. They had a newspaper reporter there, and the scouts visited and had a chance to see that their work succeeded. I was still alive, and we just had a great time, a great discussion. I brought the hat with me, gentlemen. See, I've got they gave me their troop hats. So this is Troop 77's scout cap they wear. But we had a great visit. There was a reporter from the Idaho Statesman, and so she published an article with a picture of me and the scouts, and that article went all over the U.S. from reports I've heard, and plus that KGW in Portland did an interview, as did the Boise television station. So we've been together kind of separately.
Yeah.
Well, we were together with the newspaper and then the two television programs where we were separate. And this is the first television program where we've been
That's right.
all together and able to talk and clarify everything that happened.
So at what point did you guys figure out that he was a scout? At what point did the Scout Troop 77 figure out that you were involved in scouts?
I'll let the boys give that.
When we showed up and we introduced ourselves, we just said that we were scouts, and he mentioned he was a scoutmaster for about 20 years.
Wow.
So pretty quick, a few minutes into the yeah.
And how did that feel? What was that? Brendan, we haven't heard from you. Tell me how did that feel for you when you connected with that?
It was honestly, it was kind of a sense of camaraderie that, like, hey, this guy's like been where we have been, and it was really cool to be able to kind of talk with him, and he was like sharing his experiences and making jokes all about it the whole time. It was really cool to it was just really good.
And Nathaniel, how about you? What was that experience like when you were there?
Well, it was, first of all, it was kind of a scary time, like when I realized this is a real situation. And then I found out he's a scout, and I'm like, oh, he knows, like, exactly, like, I'm sure he knows that, like, you know, he's in good hands. Like Henry McCoy, right when they got there, first they knew exactly what they were doing. And I loved hanging out with him because he was just such a talkative guy despite his injuries. And so I want to be more like him, you know?
Yeah. And McCoy, how about you? What were some of the things that, like, I mean, that was a trying time. What are some of the things that you kind of gleaned from that experience, you think?
It was really interesting because we trained for these scenarios all the time, but it was never like the people in the scenarios either unconscious or they're bleeding really hard. And me and Henry scrambled up the cliff real quick, and then Henry's getting out his first aid kit, and I go over to him, and he shakes out his hand for me to shake it. Sticks out his hand for me to shake it, and I was like,
"What?
What?" He was like, he just fell down the side of the mountain. I was like, okay, hang on, let's try and treat you real quick.
Yeah. Brian, how did it feel for you to watch your guys do what they did?
Well, it certainly made me feel proud of their skills and their ability to be calm and collect in the moment. And I think, and the level of their professionalism, I thought was great, you know, and so, yeah, it was really great to see just all those things that we kind of talk about and practice just kind of naturally come together, and watching that training take over was great.
So Scouts, is there anything that you particularly learned that, like, stood out for you? It's like, okay, that was a life lesson that I will never forget. Why don't we just go down right down? Henry, you go first.
I'm not sure about that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back. McCoy, you have something?
Yeah, do that.
I guess it would just be be prepared for any old thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Nathaniel, you have anything that you kind of stuck with you?
Just kind of like the scenarios that we do, not just for Boy Scouts, but for anything in life. Like if you like train to do something or like repeat something over and over again, and your like goal is to learn something, there's a purpose for it, because I never in a million years would have thought that we would have had to like actually use all of our skills, but I mean we did. So I guess it's just like take in the knowledge when it's given to you.
All right. Brendan, you have anything that stuck with you?
Probably just the fact that when we learned he was 80 years old and still hiking alone. Sorry for the age, but I'd love to be 80 years old and hiking out alone. I mean, that I think is anybody's wish at that age.
Yeah.
Although, again, remember the lesson, even at 80, it's good to have I have the ultimate buddy in having the Lord with me, but I'm not going to suggest that we always say, hey, I'm still not going to take an earthly being with me. So one thing I will suggest is that hopefully you reach 80. And what I do tell my scout troop is that it is critical to stay in shape. That my wife and I have had a personal trainer that we've worked with twice a week since our late 60s. And it's really critical to stay in shape. If you stay in shape, I think your energy will be boundless. And 80 is the new 60.
So tell us a little bit about your injuries and your recuperation now. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had an excellent neurosurgeon did the surgery the next morning, and it's the C1, C2. And here's where one of the miracles. I mean, that when you break your C1 and C2, you could end up dead or you could end up a quadriplegic.
Wow.
And I'm healing.
Right.
I saw Meg and I went down and saw the neurosurgeon last Thursday, and everything's healing all right. And hopefully by the end of August, this neck brace will be off. And then as far as the leg injury, it was interesting. Everything lined up, and at first they were going to just say, hey, 10 weeks, we're not going to operate, we'll leave it in a brace for 10 weeks. And then the next day, my younger son feels they said, hey, their initial evaluation, this is an 80-year-old, we're not going to operate. And then they evaluated further and said, this is an 80-year-old who's in the outdoors a lot and hikes, we'll operate and let him start in a walking cast right away. So I was in the walking cast, and that came off about 4 weeks ago, and now I just use a hiking pole for balance.
Now, your son is an emergency room physician, is that right? No.
Well, I've got the older son's an emergency room doctor, the younger son's an emergency room nurse.
Okay. And so when were they both there, or
no? Matt is in New Zealand, the emergency medicine doctor, but Michael switched careers from law to nursing.
Wow.
And anyway, so he came over. He lives in Portland and works in Vancouver, Washington for Legacy. He came over, and he was able to look at the x-rays and took a picture of them and sent them to Matt. And Matt's comment was, geez, don't know why. Dad is very fortunate to be be up and around, so to speak, and not be dead or paralyzed.
So was there ever a moment where your sons scolded you a little bit? I mean, I know they were glad for you to be alive, but they were like, I've gotten that from my kids.
They're quite blunt.
Yeah.
And anyway, so They don't let me get away with any rationalizations.
Yeah. Well, what a cool story. I mean, it is just so wonderful and unique that the Scouts, that the Scouts were the group that helped rescue you, and what an incredible blessing for you. I'm sure.
Oh,
I mean, both of those things. I'm thinking of when I've been in situations where I was scared, and that's hard. I mean, most men would never say. I mean, it's just something I've only been scared a few times in my life, but they exist,
Yeah.
And when that happens, then there's just a crazy amount of comfort that comes from the people that surround you,
Yes.
And so, and I'm sure that, when those Scouts showed up, I'm sure that there was a.
I knew I would be well taken care
Yeah,
of.
right. Yeah. And of course, then when you finally when you get to the hospital, and I'm sure that when, certainly Meg was there, but when your son was there, again, there's another sense of like somebody who's really capable that I trust and know and love is here with me. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, guys, do you have anything that you want to share before we let you all go that maybe was a memory or something that you will never forget, or something you want to talk to Eric about before we quit?
I think what's really funny was, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I think one of the things that was really funny was how when we had gone in and we were up there and talking to him, and I think one of the things that stuck with me was the joke that he had made that we should take him back to our camp and practice first aid on him.
Yeah. I was actually pleased that Troop 770 could get some about the scenarios where they practice, but I thought, hey, now you've got a real victim, so have at it.
That's right. Yeah. Real live experience. Anything else, guys, that stuck out for you? All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. And I know you guys in Idaho, Troop 77, you've been kind of on the line for a couple of hours now, and really appreciate you coming on this morning and being here with us. What a great story.
Now, where can they and their friends go to see this on YouTube? You might let them know.
So yeah, all of our stuff is on the EOAlive.tv network, and that's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. We have a Roku channel called EOAlive.tv, and then the website EOA.tv. All of it's available there. So thank you guys for jumping in and being with us this morning. Yeah, really appreciate it. And and Eric, you and I have been talking about sharing this story for a while.
Yeah, we have. Glad we finally made it all together and we're able to include the Scouts here.
All right. Well, Kyle, do you want to get us out of here?
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
On this day, July 20th, 1858, very first time they charged a fee to see a baseball game. New York beat Brooklyn 22-18. That's a big score for a baseball game. 1868, on this day, the first use of tax stamps on cigarettes. So that was the very first time that they.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how cigarettes aren't really that expensive. Tobacco, they just tax it a lot now. 1881, Sioux Indian chief Sitting Bull surrendered to U.S. federal troops on this day. 1921, Congresswoman Alice Mary Robertson becomes the first woman to preside over the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. 1921, so 102 years ago.
Wow.
1940, on this day, Billboard publishes its first singles record chart. I'll Never Smile Again by Tommy Dorsey with vocal by Frank Sinatra is number one on the very first single Billboard record chart. 2017, on this day, Elon Musk tweets he has a verbal government approval to build a 29-minute hyperloop between New York and Washington, D.C. I wonder if that's ever going to happen.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, they have the bullet train, and it's got to get there someday, right?
Yeah.
These fast. 2021, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos goes into space in the first unpiloted suborbital flight with all civilian crew aboard a rocket developed by his company, Blue Origin.
Wow.
Yeah, just ran. Can, if you have enough money, you can just go to space. That'd be kind of cool. Number one movie in America on this day in 1973 is Live and Let Die with Roger Moore as James Bond.
Oh, wow.
And then the quote of the day, there it is. A mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it isn't open. Frank Zappa. A mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it isn't open.
All right.
We're going to be gone we won't be back until August.
Yeah.
First Tuesday in August.
So we won't have shows next Tuesday and Thursday. We will not have shows. We'll be preparing for the Shrine football game. The deal is a lot of the equipment that we use for this morning show is being torn down, and it's a part of the Shrine football setup. So thank you guys for being with us today. Again, shout out to Valley Insurance for sponsoring us. And Eric, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And guys, appreciate you being with us. Good day, and we'll see you all soon.